Well, hello again. Pastor Ray Barnett here, and I'm glad that you could join with me on this edition of the Oasis, formerly known as God's Answers for Anxiety and Depression. As always, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Hey, you can hear, right? For those of you who've been with me for some time, it's phenomenal. I was at the house, and I think everybody in the neighborhood said, "Hey, let's cut the lawn, weed whack, let's get out all the power tools." And then my dog was barking to boot. Someone's at the front door. I said, "Okay, well, let me go down to the river today, down here to the brook." And as soon as I got here, you could probably hear the sirens in the background. There's this school that's right up in front of me. You obviously can't see it, and I really hope it's nothing serious, because it sounds like fire trucks, police, the sheriff just went by, all this type of thing. And again, I hope it's nothing serious. There's little kids middle school over here, and I don't know what's happening, but I did think to myself, it's really phenomenal. As much as I try to make this an actual oasis, a place where you can feel that it's providing some aesthetic benefit as well as whatever I give you in teaching and exhortation. Just like I said, for you who've been with me for a while, it's crazy. But I do hope there's nothing seriously going on over there. All right, today I want to talk to you about dealing with difficult people in difficult times, how to find your way out of these situations. First of all, in the times in which we live, I'm not sure that it's possible. Well, in life in general as well, I'm not sure that it's possible to be free of all difficult people. You have difficult people in your life at work, you have them in your family perhaps. Sometimes, unfortunately, it could be your spouse. It could be, well, of course, I'm a pastor, so I'm in the church, and certainly have them in the church. Difficult people. And then the reason I gave it the title Difficult People in Difficult Times is that difficult people can compound difficult times, so meaning it makes it just that much worse. What do you do? Well, some time ago, I covered this topic with you, and there is a time, unfortunately, I think unfortunately, there is a time, or there comes a time when you have to detach from people who are habitually toxic to your life, or I'm just using the term difficult. I see a lot of this on social media and different platforms, about just getting away from all negativity and getting away from people who bring you down and people who don't believe in your dreams. And I would say that statement has obviously truth to it, because I've done this myself. But it has to be somewhat amended to factor in. And I'm under the assumption that you're a professing Christian, love the brethren. Well, that's not always that easy. Be merciful, kind, tender-hearted, and so on. And we want to detach. And I talked to you about detaching from toxic people some time ago. But it's not only possible to detach from toxic people, difficult people, it is sometimes not even all that desirable. For example, let's say you have difficult people in your family, and it may not be desirable, it may not be, I'm going to say possible, it may not be possible to detach. And difficult people that come into your life or that are already in your life during difficult times can create a tremendous amount of anxiety, depression, or anger and or fear. I say this to you very frequently. There's no one that I guess there's some people out there who, just everything's great. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. A prudent, intelligent individual can figure out that we're living in difficult times. So, with that said, and with the understanding that you are both prudent and intelligent, that you're able to discriminate, you're rational, and you're reasonable, difficult times have come our way. That we cannot avoid. But what do we do with the difficult people in the situation that are making, as we say, matters worse? What do you do? Okay. Number one, there are people that you can and should detach yourself from. Toxic people. But when you're in a situation where it is not feasible, and maybe we would say not permissible, to detach yourself from a difficult person or persons, for whatever the reason may be, in the difficult time, you have to learn how to detach yourself emotionally. And if you recall, again, this is for some of you who have been with me from the beginning, and I have shared with you that what I teach on this channel here, the principles are fairly simple. The execution and practice of them are not. They are difficult. What I'm about to tell you is a difficult thing to be able to actually become proficient at doing it. But learning to detach yourself emotionally from people who are going to be in your life. Let me just say, for an example, it could be your mother, your father, wife, your husband, where it's just not feasible. And in some cases, at least for us that believe in the sanctity of marriage and so on, it's not correct to do. So what do? Let me give you an example, okay? In traditional Christian vows, which I still use in my services, the couple will say, I will say, will you take her, will you take him, and be loyal to him in sickness and in health, for better, for worse? And you've heard these vows, I'm sure. You've probably taken them yourself. From the biblical point of view and the Christian point of view, we cannot detach from a toxic individual that maybe is our spouse, our children, and others, my father and mother. That's the fifth commandment: honor thy father and thy mother. I'm just pointing out that the statement of detaching, which I taught on that, detaching from the toxic people, there are circumstances sometimes when you just simply can't or shouldn't, because it's not morally correct or right to do so. But how do you protect yourself? All right, that's my theme for today. You protect yourself by learning how to detach yourself emotionally. And that is not an easy thing to do. To start to look at your situation objectively, and I don't know if I've told you this or I was said it in the church services, but the art of learning how to detach yourself from something, let's say you're looking at your own life, and to look at it objectively, to look at yourself as somebody else would see it. That's not easy to do. But I've been doing it for many years. I detach myself from myself and I look at myself, here's a little secret, and this works great for me. Maybe take a little more time for you, but I deal with people for a living, as a calling, I should say. When I'm perplexed by a problem, my own problem, I always picture myself on the other side of my desk, and then I already know what advice would I give to this person if the situation that I have was the same in the other person's life, and I always get the answer. I think that you'd find it, well, again, maybe not because you're not experienced in the ministry, but I think you would find it helpful to be able to look at it objectively, and that's really what I'm getting at. How would you advise a friend in this kind of a situation? Well, that could be a very sketchy thing too, because if you're not going to be biblically based, then the advice may not be pleasing to God. Still, learning how to detach yourself emotionally is, I call it an art, of learning how to be able to step out of the situation and view it as if you are the third party. And what advice would you give? If you are able to begin to practice that, little and by little, you're going to learn how to deal with difficult people in these difficult times. Okay, simple advice. Nothing complicated about what I said, but the performance of it, that takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. So let me pray for you today, because I know you're dealing with difficult people, and I know you're dealing with difficult times, as we all are. Well, let's pray and ask for God's help. So Father, I do pray for my friends who watch this show faithfully. Help them, because they're all dealing with difficult times. All of us are. And many of us are also dealing with difficult people. Help them to learn how to look at themselves and their situation objectively, so that they can get a less emotional view of the situation. And I do pray that you would intervene in these situations for all of us. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. All right, so that's it for today. How to deal with difficult people in difficult times. Learn the art of detaching yourself emotionally so that you can think objectively. As always, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. There's a small group of people here that is growing. It's growing very slowly, but it's growing. And if you want to subscribe, well, that would be great. And just hit the subscribe button. This is a real genius, you know. I even watch YouTube videos myself, and all through the video, subscribe. And I just got to make this clear, if this is your first time watching this, I'm not here to solicit. I'm really not. I'm just here to invite you to say, if you want to subscribe, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. It's like the thumbs up. I asked for a thumbs up. I told you that's my understanding of YouTube metrics, how they rate things. But and if you don't, and the majority don't, about half of you do, a third of you maybe, they'll give me a thumbs up. Although I do this routinely with people, I really do. I just see something I like and say, hey, I'll even put a comment there. Hey, nice job, young man, or nice job doing this. Encourage people. Anyway, subscribe if you want to be part of this group. We'd love to have you. It's a good group. It's a good group of people. And we help each other, pray for each other. And then give me a thumbs up, hit the notification button, and we'll be good to go. All right, that's all I have for today. So, God willing, and the creek don't rise, I will be with you, not these creek, but some other creek. I'll be with you tomorrow. God bless. Look forward to seeing you then.